Good evening, everybody. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, when you are ready, will you please call the roll of the City Council and then the Charter Revision Commission?
Absolutely. Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilman Peter Rivera.
Peter Rivera at large, present.
Councilman Sean Ronan.
Here.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan is absent. Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella.
Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella, 2nd District, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarelli is absent. Councilman Gary Donovan is absent. Councilman Edward McMillan.
Edward McMillan, 5th District, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Dawn Callahan, 6th District, present.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker, 7th District, present.
Councilman David Beaton is absent. Councilman Ronald Quagliani.
Ron Quagliani, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Christopher Vargo.
Chairman Christopher Vargo, 8th District, present.
Okay, we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman,
Thank
on
you.
the City Council. And now, and for the Charter Revision Commission, Roberta Garlock,
Present.
Arthur Gilbert, Bridget Hosky,
Present.
Stephen Idarola is absent. Tony Mancini, he is here. Gail Tagliatella, she is here. Leilani Perry,
Present.
and Arthur Kelly, Chairman.
Here.
Also a quorum.
All set. Thank you. Folks, we have 2 empty seats. If either of you want to sit up here, you're welcome to sit back there, whatever you all want. I want to thank everybody for taking the time. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Always listen to Stacy. Madam Clerk, will you please read the call of the meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
City of West Haven, City Council and Charter Revision Commission, notice of special meeting for June 23rd, 2026, 6 p.m. City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall. Notice is hereby given that in accordance with Rule 4.5 of the Rules of Procedure of the City Council and the procedure adopted by the Charter Revision Commission, Christopher Vargo Jr., Chairman of the City Council, Arthur Kelly, Chairman of the Charter Revision Commission, have called a joint special meeting of the West Haven City Council and the Charter Revision Commission to be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026, in the City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, 355 Main Street, West Haven, Connecticut. The purpose of this special meeting is as follows. Deliberations on the City Council's recommendations to the Charter Revision Commission for revisions to the draft revised charter.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we get started, I just want to welcome everybody. This is the first time that we've all gotten to the same room at the same time. On behalf of the City Council, I want to thank the entire Commission for doing a tremendous job, about 18 months worth of work in 18 weeks. And speaking for myself personally, there was absolutely nothing in your first draft recommendations that I felt was a line in the sand for me. I think that you all did an excellent job listening to the public, the advice of the City Council, the input from the mayor and her staff, and put together a document that I believe in my heart of hearts probably will pass come November. The City Council spent several nights going through it and obviously does have some recommendations that we're going to talk about tonight. The purpose of this meeting is for us to see where we can find common ground initially on some of the items, and that's where we're going to start off. What can we knock off the list early? That way we can move on to the more substantive discussions. So really, as I was talking to Attorney Cassini, we're really going to try and focus on 3 buckets. Things that we can agree on, things that we're close and we just need a little bit more discussion between the 2 groups, and things that we just may need to agree that we don't agree on now, and then the ball will be in your court, I believe, on July 1st, Mr. Chairman. And then once you all pass your final document, then it will be on the City Council to craft the questions. But just at the outset, I just wanted to just recognize what an outstanding job you all did and to thank you for all of the hard work that was put in over the last few weeks. With that, we're going to, at the moment, start with hopefully the more minor recommendations. Attorneys, if I skip over something that you think that is pretty easy, will you please just get my attention? Anybody, please just get our attention if you want to speak on an item. Starting on number 1, Chapter 1, Section 8A, including the term agencies other than departments in the definition of a board or commission. City Council made that recommendation because one of the boards and commissions is actually called an agency, and without that word in the definition, we just felt that it was incomplete. So that was the reason for its inclusion. Anyone from the City Council have any additional comments on that? Mr. Chairman?
Does anyone from the CRC have any questions or comments on that? Say again?
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure this out because everybody has to be on the record. That's why I invited you all up here. Yeah, and we can get another chair if you want. I brought in 2.
Or should we just repeat the question? Attorney Mednick, you can answer that.
So we had, as we were going through the process, we had the redevelopment agency, we had the inland wetlands and watercourses agency on the board and commission side, and I believe there's an agency on the department side. So what we did is we put the term agency in both definitions of boards and commission and departments, so that there'd be no question. If it's a deliberative body, agency is a board or commission. If it's a department, it's a department.
Any other questions or comments from the CRC? None.
Okay, mark that one as done.
Can we mark that as agree? We'll mark that as agree.
Item number 2, Chapter 1, Section 8G, to include the Water Pollution Control Commission under the definition of department. Rationale is that the Board of Education was specifically included and the WPCC. That way we can include that in all of the other requirements that the department must adhere to, just to make it clear that they do fall within those guidelines. Any further discussion from the council? Mr. Chairman?
Any comments or questions from the CRC? Hearing none, I'll pass it back to you. We can agree on that.
Thank you. We're going to skip number 3. We're going to skip number 4. Number 5, Chapter 2, Section 4B. So this is on page 11. What we're doing is we're adding the last sentence is going to read, the term, quote, position of profit shall be consistent with the applicable provisions of the Code of Ethics, rulings of the Board of Ethics, or as otherwise defined by ordinance. Attorney Mednick, would you mind just expanding on the rationale behind those specific documents?
The term position of profit is a term that is used in the current charter. And what we did, as you probably know, we did it at the Charter Commission level, is we combined all of those provisions into one, which is 4B. The question came up during council deliberations, what is the definition? And we kind of punted it a little bit by basically saying that the term shall be consistent with any applicable provisions of the Code of Ethics, rulings of the Board of Ethics, or as otherwise may be defined by ordinance. Because we just again, we're in a very short time frame here. There may be an opinion in the Corporation Counsel's office that we're not aware of, that we don't have time to look at this moment, or even the Board of Ethics. So we thought we would, since it was a well-defined, it was a well-used term in the document, or historically used term, that we would leave it as it is and not try to make any changes that would be disruptive. And that was the intent of going to other entities to come up with a definition at some point.
Thank you. Comments from the City Council? Mr. Chairman?
Any comments from the CRC? Hearing none, I'll pass it back. So we could agree on that.
We're going to skip number 6. Skip number 7. Skip number 8. Number 9, Chapter 2, Section 7, dealing with constables.
7 or 8. Section 8.
Oh, so this is incorrect. Thank you. Correction, it's Section 8. So the language here simplifies that the fact that the mayor may rather than shall appoint constables from time to time as deemed necessary, and that the constables are empowered through the powers prescribed either in our ordinances or Connecticut general statutes, makes it discretionary, and then that way there's no delineated set of responsibilities, that it leaves it flexible for the mayor. It's just governed by whatever the ordinance or the statute is that may be amended from time to time. Any discussion from the City Council? Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion from CRC?
It's on page 14.
Section 8, under constables. Oh,
The-
C13, sorry.
Oh, mine it's 14. Oops.
Oh.
Does somebody?
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll pass it back.
Thank you. Just for clarity, we're working off of Kevin, the Attorney Cassini, I apologize. The transmitted to Town and City Clerk June 22nd, 2026 version. Is that right?
Yeah, I have another one here.
We have extras. Okay, we will move on to Chapter 3, Section 2. I'm hesitant to say what page.
Yeah.
That's what mine says. Which one's yours? Your. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Page 15. Okay, so the first, we removed section. No, I'm sorry, we're on 2. 2A, appointment authority. The mayor shall appoint all department heads, boards, and commissions as set forth in Chapter 6, Section 1A of this charter. Attorney Mednick, I believe that this just is basically a cross-reference, specifically on the boards and commissions appointments, that all board and commission member appointments require approval by the City Council, and that's the reason for the cross-reference. Anything from the City Council? Mr. Chairman?
Anything from the CRC? Hearing none, we agree.
Okay. Same page, Chapter 3, Section 3B1. City Council recommended that we remove this provision. This is, from our understanding, legacy language from the original charter that provides a removal process for certain types of employees, and we've all racked our brains and could not identify a single employee presently that this would apply to. So rather than leaving it in, we thought it best to remove it, since employees are either hire and fire at will or subject to collective bargaining agreements. That we didn't feel that having this superfluous language was appropriate. Any discussion from the City Council? Mr. Chairman?
Any questions from CRC? Hearing none, we agree? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Okay.
Sorry. So I do have a question. So we're saying we don't have any employees presently that fall under this. Are we saying that we will never have any employees that will fall under this? Because to me, the charter, it doesn't just speak for today, it speaks for the future.
Yeah, we couldn't find anybody whose title or position was covered by this the way it's set up. I don't know if there will be somebody who fills that role or if there will be a new position created that would qualify under it.
So then we should still remove it? So your recommendation is to still remove it even though we can't say?
That's not our recommendation. That's up to you. And this was already decided by the city council. This is the conferral meeting where now the city council is explaining to try to review why that recommendation was made, or along with all the other recommendations.
Okay, so you're saying, so when I ask a question, my question can only be to a council person to ask why they voted for it?
Oh, no, you can ask questions of anybody.
Oh, I just did, and I thought you said you can't recommend it to me.
It's not my recommendation.
No, but I'm asking you for your legal recommendation would be to still remove it even though.
No. That's not.
What would be?
That's not my legal recommendation.
Okay, so what would your legal I feel like I'm.
I would reword it so it could capture somebody in the future. This is a power that's being given up by having it removed.
Thank you. So I'm not in agreement.
Okay.
Very well.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions from CRC or comments? Hearing none, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay. Next is Chapter 3, Section 3B. Eliminates the reference to officer or boards or commissions that could authorize the mayor to execute certain documents. After speaking in the council meetings and conferring with Corp Council, we also could not identify another board or commission that had the authority to authorize the mayor to execute a document outside of the city council. So we didn't want the charter to imply that existed. Councilwoman Tucker?
So I'm looking at the document. I'm on page 15, and you're saying this is 3, section 3B1? Because I think mine either already eliminated it, or it's not clear to me what I'm looking at.
Here, let me show you.
Am I wrong? It's already eliminated from the document?
Yes, sorry. In the new document, because subpart 1 was eliminated, it renumbered the other one, so it's actually 3B4.
Okay.
So the sentence reads, to sign all bonds, deeds, and all written instruments and documents of the city, including those authorized by the city council. And then this language was specifically struck out, or any officer or board or commission of the city council. Those words, the city council is recommending eliminating.
All right, so that's 12.3B4.
Right.
Okay.
All set?
Yes, thank you.
Councilman Quagliani?
Yeah, I mean, I think we not only could think of any, but I don't think we want any other board or commission to authorize issuing bonds or notes besides the city council. So that was at least my motivation for changing it, asking it to be changed.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the city council? Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion from CRC? Bridget?
I was just going to say, now that he explained that we want the power to stay with the city council, because I was thinking the same thing as before, but I'm good now.
Okay, so we agree with that.
Chapter 3, section 6, which is on page 17. Title change of grant and aid to grant administration. This just crystallizes the department and the functions to what they are within the mayor's staffing levels and in the budget. Discussion from the city council. Mr. Chairman?
Any questions from CRC? Hearing none, pass back. We agree.
Okay. We'll skip 14 and 15. We'll skip 16. We'll do 17, chapter 5, section 1. Page 27.
It's 27, yeah. C27.
Thank you. Okay. I miss having Councilman Donovan tell us what page we're on.
Just for the record, member Idarola, CRC is in attendance.
Okay, so we're on item number 17, chapter 5, section 1, town to city clerk. What we added was language that mirrors the language that's in the section for the mayor. That just simply says that the town and city clerk position is the person shall devote full time to the duties of that office. The expectation is that that role is a full-time employment role. Any discussion from the city council? Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion from CRC? Hearing none, we agree.
Attorney Mena, I'm a little lost on number 18.
We probably could have just left this as a Scrivener's correction, but what is now section 1A in chapter 5 was the opening sentence of the paragraph. We moved it to the second line, and we simply indicated that it was simply a line that was moved. We probably could have done a Scrivener's edit, but I think it was late at night, and I didn't want to wake up the Corporation Council, so we did it this way.
Any discussion from the city council? Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion from CRC? Hearing none, we agree.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? So and we're just moving so fast, I don't have the time to get all my thoughts together, but I'm just curious as to why, like, the mayor and the city clerk are being identified to devote full time to the duties in office, but then I look at the deputy and assistant registrars and they don't say anything. They don't say like part-time, per diem, or any. So I'm just curious as to why we're differentiating. Not that I don't think they're full-time, but if we're going to say that for the elected officials, why aren't we being consistent for all of them?
Because the mayor's language is legacy language. That's always been in there. I think the expectation and the practice has been that the town and city clerk has been a full-time position, so we wanted clarity on that. As for the deputy registrars, those are appointed, and I don't think the city council is fully aware of what the dynamics of that office are and whether or not they are full-time or part-time employees. So we did not make that recommendation.
Wouldn't that be concerning? That
We all set? Yes.
I do not have any more questions at the moment.
Okay.
Great. May we mark that one as agree?
We on
That's 18.
18, yes.
Okay. 19, Chapter 5, Section 2A. So the recommendation is just add at the very end of Section 2A, shall appoint deputies and assistant registrars as provided in the general statutes, and then it specifies as General Statute 9-192. Just to clarify what statute governs the appointment and the duties and responsibilities of a deputy and assistant registrar, just for purposes of clarity. Any discussion from the City Council? Attorney Bednick?
The statute also clarifies the elector requirement for assistants and deputies.
Thank you for that. Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion from CRC? Does everyone understand it? Hearing none, we agree.
Thank you. Attorney Bednick, is now appropriate time for number 20? It's a large section, so would you mind explaining that one to us? Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, why don't I just explain the entirety of 1A? That
Perfect.
will combine a number of, they're all consolidation provisions. What we've tried to do here is we made a reference earlier in the evening, there was a cross-reference to Section 1A1, and that's where we are right now, which simply clarifies in all cases that the mayor appoints members of boards and commissions and the council advises and consents, approves or disapproves members of boards and commissions. That's A1A. So that's number 20. And I put all the sections of the charter in, or the chair put the sections of all the charter into the letter that you received.
Forgive my interruption, but just for purpose of clarity for the City Council's perspective, is that the City Council in the current charter has the responsibility of approving certain the appointments to certain boards and commissions. It was unclear why certain ones were excluded under that bucket, so we just consolidated everything that all boards and commissions require City Council approval.
And this is members and alternates. It includes everybody. A1A2 is simply a consolidation of all the elector and residency requirements, unless otherwise stated in the charter. And this is again for all members and alternates. They need to be they need to be residents and electors of the city. There is an exception when it's not really an exception, but when you come to the fire commission, two of the members have to be electors, but they don't have to be residents of Allentown. They have to be residents of other fire districts. So there is a permutation to that section. Section 1A3, which is item number 22, so we're moving through all these things, is simply a consolidation of the compensation provisions. We generally do not prescribe or allow for compensation. There are some statutes that specifically state there's agencies that cannot be compensated, although we do have a proviso, except as otherwise set forth. You may decide on a reimbursement provision. Some communities provide reimbursement for child care and transportation, things like that. So we didn't want to have an absolute, and I don't think the current charter has an absolute prohibition either. Subparagraph 4, and I'm looking to the member of the commission to my left here on this section. This is the qualifications provision that you've added at the very end in the haste, and I take responsibility for this, of our last meeting after the public hearing of the Charter Commission. We actually had some really outstanding testimony at the public hearing, and the commission wanted to place in the charter qualification provisions both for boards and commissions and departments, and we neglected to do so. So I did we prepared a separate transmittal letter asking the council to take it into consideration, and members of the commission, the council did take it into consideration, and that language is found in section 1A4. And then the last one in this section, which takes us up to item number 24 on the agenda, is the role of alternate members of boards and commissions. I think that there was a concern, and I won't speak for the council, but I think I can provide a summary about the status of alternate members. And what this language makes absolutely clear, if you're an alternate member, you're entitled to be at every meeting. You're entitled to be at executive sessions. You're not entitled to vote. You're only entitled to vote if they need, if a member is not there and they need to bring somebody in to vote. But you're entitled to be at every meeting. You cannot be excluded from any meeting or any executive session, so that you're fully apprised as an alternate of the body of what the business is, just in case you have to vote at some point. It would not be fair, and I think this provision allows for that and clarifies the situation, which has probably come up from time to time.
Also on that, Attorney Mendick, that we also wanted to make sure in subpart 5 that a alternate member can be activated on the board to fill in a vacancy. It's not required that they meet the quorum. So even if there is a quorum, but there's still a vacancy, the alternate member is still activated.
Oh, absolutely. If you're below full membership, the alternate would be serving on the body. An alternate would be called to serve. Those are those sections. That would take us from items 20 to 24.
Anything to be added by the City Council on items 20 through 24? Mr. Chairman?
The CRC need a minute to read these things?
Just remind the CRC, if you have second thoughts, you're going to have more deliberations, but I think we're trying to come up and facilitate the process. So you will have another opportunity when you meet on July 1. Not to upset the apple cart.
Yes,
Okay,
Member
so I
Hoskin.
do have a question. I'm so confused. So we're saying that we can agree to something, because I'm thinking when we say we've agreed, and we're going to move forward. I didn't have the impression that we would agree on something and then July 1st come back and unagree to it.
I think there'd have to be a good reason. There'd have to be a good reason not to agree. But if you have a change of thought until you're finalized your position, you have the ability to raise the issue if you'd like.
Okay, so
Yeah.
our agreed isn't final.
It's not final
No.
until you finalize, but
Oh,
I think
well,
it's
it just wasn't-
I think it's a thumbnail by the chair. I haven't talked to the chair to get a sense of where we're going to have issues. Right now we're moving in a very nice direction, but it's not final until you finalize.
Well, I didn't think that was the case, but I don't have. Thank you.
So we had a lot of exchanges during our deliberations, and there were times when we went back to sections because something forward that we come to might make us think, and we need to go back to something and relook at whatever it was that we looked at, and maybe some changes were suggested as a result. So you're not locked in if you agree now, but you may change your mind, and there may be some further clarification later.
I appreciate.
That's
We didn't share that. It made it seem like we were agreeing. It was that.
Yeah, we're agreeing as far as this meeting that we feel that there's no issues right now with them. But we have the final say in our meeting, and our recommendations. Hearing none, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. So that's on 20 through 24.
20 through 24.
On 25? Please, thank you. Number 25, Chapter 6, Section 1B1, and several others.
So this is a section that requires something that was kind of implied in the current charter, but it really is mandatory to have staggered commission and board terms throughout the charter. And you will see a reference to, this is item number 25, as you go into the document, you'll see a reference to the stagger needs to be created by the CRC. So one of the things we will do if everybody agrees that there should be a stagger, is between now and the July 1st meeting, I will, or the Corporation Council, will take a look at the sections of the charter that do not have staggers, and we will create a transition provision so that it's about 3 or 4 commissions will have staggers in the future. Just to clarify, no one is going to lose their position on a board or commission to allow for the stagger. People's terms will end, and the subsequent members will create the stagger that will go forward. So it'll take 3 or 4 years in some cases to create the stagger. But if there's a consensus tonight, we will draft the language to facilitate the meeting on July 1 to show the staggers in the boards and commissions that don't have them right now.
Thank you. Any other comments from the City Council? Mr. Chairman?
Anything from CRC? Hearing none, I'll pass it back.
Thank you. Just to help facilitate, Mr. Chairman, that language may take a little bit of time for the attorneys to start drafting. Would you like to poll your members to see if they want the attorneys to start working on that?
Sure. I would ask the CRC to let me know where they stand on having the attorneys draft that language for our meeting. Member Hosky. Member Gorlak.
Yes.
Member Mancini.
Yes.
Member Tagliatella.
Yes.
Member Gilbert.
Yes.
Member Idarola. Chairman Kelly, yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 26 is Chapter 6, Section 2J. That's on page 37. (36) or 37. The vice chair, I believe it was, from the Senior Citizen Commission spoke, or actually sent a communication to the clerk and I, requesting that this be changed just to the Commission on Aging, to just be, I guess, more inclusive in the language. And the City Council thought that was a good idea, and that was really it. Any other discussion from the City Council? Mr. Chairman?
Any questions from CRC on this?
Just one question. Is there an age range that defines this group? Is it 55 plus? Is it, because I'm just thinking, this is a little ambiguous where we say Commission on Aging, because somebody who's 20 may feel like they're aging into 30. It's not a hill to die on, but just an observation.
The way that I read subpart 2, powers and duties, shall recommend to the City Council the adoption of ordinances and regulations relative to the issues of the elderly population. I think maybe that implies it then. I don't know.
Thank you.
From my standpoint, I have no problem.
You don't qualify anyway.
Chairman Vargo,
Yes,
But-
go ahead.
like Leilani, Commissioner Perry said, what age would that begin at?
May I?
Please, because I'm not sure I don't know what the regulations are now.
Well, the department in their materials and in their publication on the website says 55 and older.
That might insult some. Speak for yourself.
So CRC has no issue with it.
Thank you. Terry, we're on number 37. That's chapter 6, section 2K.
27.
27, I apologize. Chapter 7, section 2K3. I think we're going pretty fast. We're trying. Okay. Chairman Mednick, you might be able to do a little bit of a better job. We're on number 27. You might be able to articulate this a little bit better than me on all that we did. No problem.
Okay, 3.
Yep. 26 was all set.
There we go.
This is the section I referred to a little earlier regarding the alternate members. Remember, we were talking about the consolidation of residency and electoral requirements for members of boards and commissions. On the Fire Commission, this clarifies something that I think is already in practice, if not clearly delineated in the charter, that makes it clear that the 2 alternates need to be electors of the town, but they also, one of them needs to be a resident of the West Shore Fire District, and the other would need to be a resident of the Center District. So that is an exception to the general rule, or it kind of creates kind of a district concept for the alternate members, but that's all that does.
Thank you. Anything from the City Council to add? Mr. Chair?
Anything from CRC? No issue with it.
Thank you. Number 28, Chapter 6, Section 2L. So what we did here,
What page is it?
that's on my 39. So maybe 38. 37. Make this make sense. Anyway, so to provide clarity of what we did here, there was an entire chapter setting forth the creation of the Board of Ethics. The current charter has very limited language of what the code of ethics is and the establishment of the board and empowering the board. A couple of years ago, a ordinance was passed by the City Council, drafted by the then Board of Ethics, that sets forth the entire code. It's the standard of behavior. It is the creation of the board, the empowerment of the board, the process to have investigations, hearings, the recommendations that they can make, all, soup to nuts. So what we decided to recommend is take out the language that's there now, create this new language under the boards and commissions that establishes the boards, how it's appointed, what the qualifications are to serve on the board, the purpose of the board, and that the board is governed by Connecticut General Statutes and also Chapter 10 of our ordinances. So it just sets forth what we felt was a clear way of establishing the board and empowering it. Discussion from the council. Mr. Chairman?
Discussion from CRC? Let me know if you need more time to read. Hearing none, we have no issue.
Thank you. Going to talk about 29 and 30 together. That's on my page 40. Chapter 6, Section 5A, and then 5A1. Page 40 or 39? 39. you have something to start off with?
I just want to make clear
Sure.
that this is specifically regarding appointed board and commission members. There was a lot of back and forth in both bodies regarding absences, removals, and vacancies that were to the executive and other positions. This conversation in this moment is specific only to appointed boards and commissions.
Thank you. So the added language in section 5A is the last sentence, which reads, "The removal process may be commenced by the mayor, a majority of the members of the city council, majority vote of the respective board or commission, or by recommendation of the Board of Ethics." City council wanted to add this because the CRC crafted great language on the process for removal. However, we felt that it should be clarified of exactly how that process begins. And so we thought that obviously the mayor should be able to request that that process begin with the city council. If somebody comes and makes a recommendation to the city council and there's enough votes, a vote of 7, to start the process, then it could be started that way. If there's a board or commission that feels that a member is not performing his or her duties, they can, by a majority vote, ask the city council to commence the proceeding. And then also the Board of Ethics, under the Code of Ethics, this is one of the remedies that they are allowed to recommend. And to just be very, very clear, this is the process to start the process of removal. This isn't the actual removal process. You all put together that language, which I think that we agreed with, I think in its totality. So that is the recommendation on 5A. And then on 5A1, the grounds, it presently reads, "The grounds for removal for appointed board and commissioners shall be 1, misconduct in the performance of duties, 2, persistent absence." And then what we changed was, instead of as defined in law or rules of pertinent board or commission, be set by ordinance. The reason is that there are a number of boards and commissions that don't have independently approved rules. So there's really no governing document there. So this allows the city council to deliberate on a standard that's going to be uniform across all boards and commissions and codify that in an ordinance. Did I miss anything? Good? Okay. Any further comment from the city council? Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion from CRC?
I have a question. So what's the definition of a majority? Is it so if there's 5 members, 3, or is it 4 people in attendance? It'd be 3. What? And if that's the definition we've come up with, I don't recall. And then what's the definition of persistent absence? Do we define, like, if?
That's a good question.
Oh, thank you.
So, so if I'm on a board and we meet early or late winter, early spring, and I'm not at any meeting physically, would that be a grounds for removal?
I guess one of my questions would be, do we put in persistent unexcused absence? Because there may be
What's the
illness,
definition of it?
Right.
illness or something. That
But
somebody,
the member is joining by teams every single time. But there's a lot of lost time when, I guess, you're not on teams and the other people are conversing and discussing, so you wouldn't know.
I'll remind you that this was a standard that the commission set, persistent absence. And what we did, in the version that came to the council, we stated as defined by the board or commission. I think there was a consensus on the council that why have a series of different standards, and so we would have one standard by ordinance. And so persistent absence would be defined. We could define it, if we want to spend the time on it. And excused versus unexcused is a pretty standard way of addressing it. So you could say, unless excused, if we want to put the qualifier in the charter itself, I think that would be part of the definition. With regard to the issue of majority, very often, we didn't do it here for whatever reason. I don't know I can't remember whether we discussed it when we were doing definitions, but I usually have a definition at the beginning of the document that a majority vote of the city council is a majority, president voting, a majority of the entire body, depending on what you want to do. And then if you want to make a change, then you change the standard. But I think it would be a majority in accordance with whatever rules you have at the council. So if you want to tighten that up, we can tighten that up through a definition, but it's not defined right now.
Thank you. So I just want to play off of what Roberta was saying. So basically what we're saying, if the dog leash committee gets together and decides that the commissioner that's been phoning in from Canada for the last 8 months to join the meeting, you're shaking your head no.
That would not be an absence.
Okay.
By law, you can participate in a meeting remotely. That has been the law of the state of Connecticut since the Freedom of Information Commission issued an advisory opinion in 1983. Starting in 1983, if you had a speakerphone in a commission meeting, you were entitled to participate as a member so long as everybody could hear you and you could hear everybody else, and you could hear the members of the public and the members of the public could hear you. So that would not be deemed an absence under any circumstance, in my view.
I didn't think so either. So thank you for clarifying.
Okay.
So I wanted to just ask to make sure. But my other question goes to, can they still put the member up for removal because they believe that it needs to be on site? Like committee business is in the room, on site. Okay, I just want to make sure that
The law of the state of Connecticut defines what is permitted at regular meetings and special meetings. I've not, and I'll defer to the Corp Counsel if he's heard otherwise, I've not heard of a community that's established a standard that would attempt to alter what is permitted by state law.
This came into better focus in the 2020 and 2021 pandemic event, where the governor issued executive orders specific to what you're suggesting, allowing and then codified in state law, but reissuing language in state law that pre-existed, that all state and local meetings were allowed to be held remotely, online, distance, with the provisions that Attorney Bennett just spoke out, so long as everyone was able to communicate with one another in the same manner as which. And because of the advancements of technology, they could be all recorded, posted in their entirety. So even public hearings were allowed to be held in public. There would be no authority that a local board or commission could have to override state law or that executive order to attempt to remove someone for being physically not present in the room with other members, but still engaging in the meeting such that everybody can hear them and they can hear everybody else. They can take part in discussion, votes, etc.
Any other questions? CRC? Hand it back to you.
Thank you. Councilman Quagliani, then Councilman Tucker.
Yeah, so in the definition for quorum, it says for the transaction of business by a board or commission, a majority of the total voting membership of that board or commission. So it kind of does spell it out, right? If it's a 5-member board or commission, that's 3.
Right.
So
And it's a majority of those present.
right. So I think it does spell that out. And then to Council Charter Revision Member Hosky and Attorney Cassini, I don't think we ever spelled out in this document that, unless I have to look under meeting, that it says that it could be by electronic means, because typically that hasn't happened here in the city. We haven't made, as far as I know, a provision for people that can't be on site to have dial-in instructions. So I think if that's something that we should have going forward, which I think we should, we probably should make that clear.
I think you should have it going forward, but there's nothing that suggests that it must happen. All I was saying was that the law, as it stands and has for a few decades, is that there's nothing precluding it from happening. In fact, no board would be empowered to say meetings can only occur by candlelight. You do have definition P under definitions. It's footnote 25. Meeting shall have the meaning set forth in CGS 1-202 as amended from time to time, including meetings by means of or allowing attendance by electronic equipment, and shall include public hearings. So that's kind of a baked in the crust version of standing statutes, more recent statutes, and the executive orders that happened in the 2020, 2021, 2 range. No, you're not obligated to do that, but you're precluded from refusing someone's seat if they ask to attend in that way.
All set? Councilwoman Tucker?
That's where exactly where I was going with that question, the question that I was going to ask. Because if someone requests to be present, and that goes to your point where you were talking about excused versus unexcused, if they've told you that they're going to be remote and need to call in or do whatever they have to do, then I think it's clear that we have to allow that to happen. But I also wonder about, the technology of it all. Like, so if I have my phone and I can call in, but can everybody hear? With the way things are, I just think that,
Yeah, speak to this briefly, if I may. Accessibility cuts both ways, right? Accessibility is about being physically able to arrive at the meeting site and allowed to attend differently, but also understanding that not everybody has the same technological access in the same way. So in that same manner, I don't know that this has ever occurred, but I don't believe a board or commission could say, you only demand having meetings in person. You refuse to join us on Teams or Zoom, and so we're going to remove you. I don't think that would be a qualification either. But yes, it has to go both ways.
right. And that was the point I was just trying to make, that we have to be able to receive people just as much as they have to reach out. It has to go both ways. Thank you.
Right. Absolutely. But also to narrow our focus, all we're saying in this recommended change to the charter is that the definition of persistent absence and the process is going to be codified in a future ordinance, which hasn't been drafted yet. So these are great things that we all have to come to terms with and discuss during that process. Mr. Chair, anything else from CRC?
Any other questions from CRC? Hearing none, we have no issue.
Okay, so that's 29 and 30. Thank you. Number 31, Section 7, Chapter 7, Section 1D. Or 43.
Page 43, you said?
41 or 43.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll give everybody just an opportunity to read the new language, and then Attorney Mendick, if you can explain. Please, thank you.
This is the second of the qualification standards. As I explained earlier, I won't apologize again or chastise myself for not putting it in the charter the first time around, but this is the qualification provision that came up from the public hearings before the Charter Commission, our last public hearing, and we had asked you to do this, and this allows for the creation of qualifications which would be created by ordinance at the recommendation of the Director of Labor Relations, Personnel and Labor Relations, or any such personnel official as may be designated by ordinance. The job qualifications shall be prepared in accordance with nationally accepted professional standards in the applicable field of endeavor, and shall be reviewed and updated every 4 years or whenever a vacancy occurs. So the idea is to keep these qualifications up to date. And when you lock in qualifications in a charter, they could be qualifications from the Eisenhower era, and really don't have much applicability in the current era. And so the idea of looking at it whenever there's a vacancy gives a mayor and a council the opportunity to decide whether they want to modify a standard for a department head on an important search that they're going to make for a replacement department head. So that's how this section works.
Any discussion from the city council? Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion from CRC? Hearing none, we have no issue.
Thank you. Attorney Madigan, before you sit down.
Yeah, I was going to stay for the section.
Yes,
yeah.
please.
So this next section is blank, as you see, under section 1E. It's terms of office for department heads. What we found as we were going through the document, and this is one that's going to require a little work by the commission, is that there are a number of different standards. And I think we want to probably talk to the mayor about this and not make any final decisions, because there's no final decision to make tonight anyhow, on what the standard should be. You have some department heads that serve concurrent with the mayor, others that serve at the pleasure of the mayor, others that serve at a term equal to that of the mayor. You have a building official by statute that serves for 4 years. You have a number of provisions that are silent. Police and fire chiefs are dealt with a little differently, and the fire marshals appointed by the Board of Fire Commissioners as well. And there's silence on a few other areas as well. Superintendent of schools is in our list, but we can't do anything about it because it's a statutory structure for it. So one of the things the council has asked the commission to do, is to take a look at these various standards and see if it makes sense to have one standard, not to replace, we can't do anything with the building official, but for all those more amorphous standards, to have one standard that would apply to all department heads. That's the essence of this section.
Anything from the city council? Mr. Chairman?
Anything from CRC? So we're looking at having, instead of these three different standards right now, we're looking to have just one standard.
I can hand out a little cheat sheet for you tonight, or I can wait till our meeting, or have it sent to you by email. But I've done a breakdown of all the departments and the standards that apply to each person. So the idea is to come to a determination what standard might make sense. I would also say that the Corp Council and I, or you, Mr. Chair, somebody should talk to the mayor and get a sense from the mayor what she thinks the standard should be from her perspective as mayor. So that is a homework assignment, not a...
Okay, so if you send that to me, I'll distribute it to our commission. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, in my knowledge of the way the city is run, it has historically been different because, and correct me if I'm wrong, the police department, the police commissioners oversee the chief. They do the hiring and the firing of the chiefs. And I know we brought in terminology to have it more aligned with the fire chief in Allentown, but the fire chief in Allentown is still governed and held accountable by that commission. Now, the public works gentleman or female, whomever would be there, is appointed by the mayor. The mayor is the only one that's really overseeing them. So the relationship is different. So I don't know that we could have one standard of language because it's different, right? Am I wrong that the police commissioner?
No, you're right. And I said that.
Okay.
I said that already. We can't do anything about the school superintendent because of the state statute. We're limited on the police commission and the fire commission because of state statute and because they're appointed by somebody other than the mayor. So it's a different standard. Same thing with the fire marshal. As to most of the others, with the exception of the building official, which has a statutory requirement, those are mayoral appointments. And so I'm talking about the strict mayoral appointments. I've listed everyone, but not all of them can be changed. There won't be uniform for every department head because different department heads are appointed in different ways.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood that the police chief or fire chief. Okay, thank you.
Agreeing with you.
Okay.
So-
thank you, thank you.
Go ahead. Oh, so most of the department heads serve at the pleasure of the mayor, though, as of now.
That's understanding, but some of them have specific language that they serve at the pleasure of the mayor, others concurrent with the term of the mayor, or concurrent. Corporation Council, for instance, makes no mention at all as to what the term will be. I've just emailed Chair and Vice Chair the document that Mr. Mendick and I had circulated amongst the City Council earlier. It's got the entirety of the grid, and you'll see where it's silent to it. It says silent. There's no mention. So
Okay.
the question that's come back, I suppose when we were at the CRC, we asked City Council to revisit this as to appointment of department heads, and now they've asked us to look at what the term should be. First question would be, should they all be uniform with the same language? Is there any actual substantive difference in the application of those different language choices? And then two, if we think yes, then what should it be? We no longer, unfortunately, have time or anyone else to whom we can punt these things.
Yeah.
This is it. So,
All right, we'll communicate with the mayor, get her opinion, and then
great.
I'll send what you emailed out, and we'll discuss it next Wednesday. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I just wanted to give a hypothetical that came up at the City Council that Attorney Cassini weighed in on. So, if the term in the charter says concurrent with the mayor, an argument could be made that when the mayor leaves office, then that person, whoever fills that seat, leaves office that exact same day. Historically, what happens is that an incoming mayor, unless they put in a lot of work during that very short transition period, there are certain department heads that transition from administration to administration, at least for a short term. Historically, it's been the finance director for a few months. It could be public works, could even be corporation counsel. But if there's a requirement in the charter where arguably someone could say, I'm sorry, but when the outgoing mayor is out, you no longer have a job, we could have a vacancy in an absolutely mission critical department. So what the city council is asking is, should there be a uniform standard, or could you all work with the mayor, because you may have a little bit more time than the city council did when we had the document, to work with the mayor to figure out what standard would be most appropriate, whether it's uniform or it's by department or whatever the case might be. That's it.
Okay, so we will do what we have to do and deliberate it at our July 1st meeting.
If I may, just for my own clarification, at the pleasure of the mayor, however, would be much broader because it's not specifically that mayor who's in office at this point in time, right?
That's an at-will hire and fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 33, Chapter 7, Section 2A. We had recommended that we just add the language to a qualification for the appointment of Corporation Counsel, that Corporation Counsel be an attorney at law admitted to practice and in good standing. You could still technically, I guess, be admitted to practice in the state of Connecticut, but not be in good standing. So we just wanted that little extra protection there. Any discussion from the City Council? Mr. Chair?
Any discussion from CRC? We have no issue with it.
Kevin, you're good to go on that, right?
Yes.
You qualify. I just want to make sure. Okay. Seven, 3A.
We're on number 34.
Terry Mendick, should number 34, is that something we should talk about now, or should we hold? That's easy?
Yeah.
Then please, would you mind explaining that one? 34.
This simply references in the duties and responsibilities of the Director of Finance, that they should have skills in municipal accounting, budgeting, and financial control in accordance with the qualifications established pursuant to the qualifications definition that we just discussed. So we have some broad terminology that's in the current charter. We didn't eliminate it, but we made it clear that's not it. You still need to have an ordinance for that position with a best practice standard. So that's all that is.
Anything to add from City Council? Mr. Chairman?
Any comments from CRC? Hearing none, no issue.
We're going to skip 35. We're going to skip 36. Term bending. Number 37, is that the same as 34? Which one? 37, is that basically the same rationale as 34? And that is for B. That's a tax collector, correct? So we're going to talk about the tax collector in more detail, but just trying to get through the easy ones. So 37 is the same rationale as 34.
Okay.
Anything from the City Council? Mr. Chair?
Anything from CRC? No issue.
$49. Sure, please.
I feel like I'm missing a page or something.
It's on my 49.
I think the best way to follow along is with the footnotes that go along with the clauses.
229.
Looking for the section, which is missing from my book. And that might be why the pages are
gotcha.
Maybe a page missing.
Footnote 229.
I mean, I found the section, but I found the, the tax collector, but I'm missing a page. I got the page. I got it. I'm saying that I'm. Never mind. It's just not worth the explanation. I'm there.
She's got it.
Got it. Yeah, it's right here. I mean, it's right here. I'm just trying to find section 4, and I don't see section 4, is what I guess I'm saying. When I go back, I see section 3, so I must be missing a page.
You're not missing a page. I think what you have is the version that has notes and comments in the margins.
Yep.
And what Mr. Chairman Vargo has is the actual red lines.
Okay.
So if you have notes and comments in the margins, but no actual red lines in your document that show language that's stricken or will be stricken.
It also changes the pagination
And it moves the outline
Right,
format.
but there still should be a section 4, correct? Which I don't have. Is what I'm saying. What number are we at? Because I'm looking at, that's city treasurer. We were on tax collector, correct?
That's section 4 is city treasurer for us. That's why I was pointing.
I'm asking a specific question. I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna hold because there's.
I think that so Attorney Kissing, I think what happened is that when all the changes were put into the red line, it shifted some of the numericals, the numbers. It's.
Thank you. Yes.
So it's footnote 229, I believe.
That is correct.
Okay, so it's, yeah.
Thank you.
229. Yep.
Okay. That makes sense.
C47.
My footnote 229 is under the city treasurer page.
I know.
That's what I was trying to say to you, section 4.
So the point that I was trying to, what they're saying is that this section here is section 3, and I was saying that there's no section 4. There's no section 4, but if you look here, it goes into B. So it's 3B.
We on
It
this
wasn't
one?
in Section 4, so he clarified it. He meant it should be
Okay,
3B.
we haven't done this one yet.
And that's where we are, tax collector, right there. That's where we are.
But then they're saying look for 229.
So I think that was the other thing that we were confused on, because I was talking about tax collector, and somehow we started talking about treasurer in the middle of all of it,
No.
which wasn't
All right, everybody.
what we were doing.
Attorney Cassini, it does not appear that we are all working off of the same document, and I'm not quite sure why.
Put your hand up if you printed your own and brought it today. Take a look at the stack that's right in front of Member Hosky there. Those are what people are working from. That's what I'm working from as
Councilman
well.
Clegg, may I have one, please?
Um,
So the version that was emailed out on Saturday is different than this version?
if you have the redlined version, then the pagination will all be off. The outline will all be off as well, unless you look specifically through the document to see the ones that are proposed to be stricken. So the one that's piled now in front of Ron there is the one that I distributed at the beginning of this meeting.
So C-47 is where the tax collector is. Chapter 7, Section 4B on C-47.
And I'm looking under functions
C-47. Yeah.
of the city treasurer, section 4. Tax collector I see on
C-47.
page C47. It's highlighted in blue, the actual words tax collector. Towards the,
Yep, I see that now.
and comment number KC, those are my initials, KC 68. And then council recommendation 36 pertaining to the transition of the functions of the elected tax collector to a city employee. So if you're following along on pages, the one that I'm looking at, page C47. Clean.
Okay.
Chapter 7, if you must. Section 4, expenditures and accounting. 5, prohibited payments and expenditures. 6, staff, and then under 6, staff, B, tax collector. It's probably 2/3 of the way down page C47.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so I
we're
don't
discussing qualification standard.
right. So I don't think point 37, recommendation 37, actually has a comment in the margin. I think that's the confusion.
I'll read into the record my comment in the margin that I think I see, at least in the ones that I can view from my podium. This provision needs a narrative footnote to explain the transition from elected tax collector to appointed or hired employee doing the work of the tax collector. From comments received by the council, it is not clear that members of the public know that the current tax manager already does the day-to-day work of the tax collector. Please revise and reconstruct this section to make it more apparent that the roles were combined. This came from a much larger discussion that we had that stemmed from my misunderstanding as to whether or not tax collector and manager were remaining in two positions, but the job was being done or being collapsed together. I know the city council knows this because we discussed it last week. At present, tax collector is a ceremonial position. currently elected, but not without responsibility. It's not simply a placeholder with a name and a title. There are some responsibilities. Much of what the job that we would think to be tax collector is done by currently someone whose title is tax manager. In the budget book, the proposal that carried was to rename that position. That position being renamed means that tax collector, as a nominal, is no longer an elected position, and that elected position is going away. So if, like me, you may have thought tax collector remains, but it's becoming an appointed position rather than an elected position, that is true in name only. The functions are being subsumed by a role that already exists, and that role is taking on the name of tax collector to better conform with how most people believe it to be. There had been public discussion, and I know members were approached asking why would a tax collector now be appointed rather than elected, because we want to have input as to how the taxes are dealt with. So this became an educational point. The tax collector, currently elected, doesn't actually do any work to set or collect your taxes. And so in reorganizing these things in a way that retitles it, but doesn't get rid of any of the executive or administrative functions of the role, it became apparent that there was no need for an elected tax collector, because now nothing would be done by the tax collector. And actually, the gentleman who serves currently as tax collector has agreed. On CRC, we have a former tax collector who agreed at the beginning that it didn't need to happen anymore, didn't need to exist anymore. But the confusion, and I fear I may have fed into this at the beginning because I didn't understand, is that the two roles are now being combined into one, but that one is not maintaining the name manager, it is accepting the name tax collector. So if any of your fellow citizens and residents want to know why the tax collector is now no longer being elected, you can either give them that very long-winded version that I just gave you. You can give them my email address if you'd like, or you can simply tell them the person who's doing the job that historically in other municipalities is called tax collector is now and has been a manager and is an employee, is a union member. That person will continue to do that role, but be called tax collector going forward. And so it didn't make sense to then have that be an elected person, because that person's a union member. And if you look to the list, halfway down page, 2/3 of the way down page 4, chapter 7, section 3B, number 36 recommendation pertains to the transition of the functions of the elected tax collector to a city employee. And so the recommendation that I've made is that we, as a footnote, add in the historical that I had no idea about and couldn't understand until very recently, such that when people see it and need to review it, they understand. If they need to vote on this as a referendum, they'll need to come to understanding much more quickly than I was able to.
So if I may clarify, I believe we were on 37 and we were simply discussing qualifications because we thought 36 was complicated. But I think the Corporation Council has just unwound the complication of it. So we might be able to act on 36 and 37 based on the explanation. But the side note is related to 36. It was not related to 37. Commissioner?
Thank you. So, do we know if the mayor is going to talk to the union about these suggestions? Because we could say we want it to happen, put it in the charter, but it's a union, so we have to bargain with it. We have to talk to them about changing the name, and we can't just arbitrarily just do it because our tax manager is a union member.
If we're not adding any responsibility to the tax manager's current job, then the effects bargaining would not be much of a bargain at all. So we don't have to go to the union to change an elected official and eliminate an elected official in the charter. But there may be some negotiation regarding.
There's some things that he still does, though. Am I wrong? Like, there is still things that Eric does in his elected capacity, or we're saying that we don't have it anymore. Who's going to do that stuff?
Yeah, there are other people that are
No,
empowered.
I just want to make sure, like, we've done it. So if I'm good. I'm just
Mr. Cassini, I think I can answer that because
Sure.
I spoke with the mayor before the city council finalized this recommendation, and I asked her, is it the mayor's expectation that the functions of the elected tax collector would be rolled up into the tax manager? And she said yes, and implicitly, I would believe that that would also require her to speak with the union. So that is her intent.
And so my question still remains. My concern is still even more valid. If she doesn't get an agreement and we vote this in and they agree against it, then the charter, it's invalid because the union didn't agree.
I don't believe that to be true necessarily. The change in title would not have any effect, right? So we're talking about the assumed responsibilities. I don't think that there are any additional responsibilities. I don't know that, is his name Eric, the tax collector?
It is.
Murillo?
Yes.
I don't think he's the only one who operates in those capacities. Finance director is a signatory as well, for instance.
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm just curious in terms of the rationale behind needing to change the title of tax manager that exists today to tax collector. I would, if essentially what we're really saying is that the tax collector position that is more ceremonial is going away, period.
Yes. And the job as manager, right? The job as manager is now being retitled. I don't have an answer for you because I wasn't part of those discussions, but you have almost entire body that was as city council. That change shows up. I think Councilman Donovan, who always has our budget book with us, spotted that for us and told us. So that's a title change that conforms with the budget as it is starting July and going forward.
But is it necessary, I guess is what I'm asking. Like, do we have to change the title of the manager to collector? We do? Oh.
No, I think you make a valid point. I think that it's that may just be up to the mayor of what of what title she feels is most appropriate for her staff.
Yeah, I'm just thinking for the public, it's very confusing to say tax collector whose ceremonial is going away, but this guy or this person is now called tax collector. It's like, but aren't they managers? Just keep them as manager, and this is no longer exists.
What you did in the budget, I'll leave it to you guys to fix. What we do in the charter is simply say that the functions of the tax collector shall be assumed by an employee of the Department of Finance. We don't mandate that that person be called tax collector. They could still be called tax manager, and that tax manager assumes the functions of the tax collector. Those are statutory functions. You don't need a tax collector, but there are some statutory requirements for people who are tax collectors, and you can assign them, and that's all this charter does.
Just as a point of clarity, we had the city council wanted to know what was going to happen to the responsibilities that Mr. Murillo currently has. So we just needed to have some kind of framework in our head of if his position no longer exists as an elected position, there are a few things that he does that no one else presently does. What would happen to them, and it would be rolled up in another position. What made sense, and after speaking with the mayor, is that the intent that it would be with the tax manager. Whether or not there's going to be a title change or not, I think it's up to the mayor and her staff. Mr. Chair.
Any other questions from CRC? Hearing none, we'll pass it back.
Okay, so then I believe that takes care of 36 and 37.
So 36 is no longer open. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
38. Gary Jr.
If I may, number 38 is a change in department personnel, department title. What is the Department of Personnel is now to be the Department of Personnel and Labor Relations. when we were in the CRC before we came over to council, we were talking about the concept of human resources and how that was inaccurately applied to really public services, health and human services. That was addressed, dealt with, and adopted by City Council. So now the title of human resources was available, but for clarity and for mirroring purposes, because the director is the director of personnel and labor relations, it was thought that the department should be the Department of Personnel and Labor Relations. So if anybody has an idea where we can throw human resources at something that doesn't make sense, we can put that back in there too. But there will be no human resources unless CRC wants to reinstate it. But I didn't want you to think that your recommendation had been rejected. It hadn't. It had been adopted and then refined further to even better conform to the remainder of the document.
Thank you. Any further discussion from City Council? Mr. Chair?
Any further discussion from CRC? Hearing none, no issue.
Thank you. Number 39. Also on page 50, I believe. So that's chapter 7, section 6A. And so this provision sets forth some of the responsibilities for the Department of Public Works. And since we've...
Okay, I'm sorry. On 39, it's showing the phrase, the Village Improvement Association or Board of Education in the first sentence. So that's off.
No, that's here. Yeah, 39.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
The section that we're talking about under recommendation 39 deals with the operative functions of the Department of Public Works. The reason that the recommendation shows adding the phrase or the Village Improvement Association after Board of Education is because based on an understanding between the Village Improvement Association and the city, the DPW now undertakes trash and recycling removal and snow plow and snow and ice removal from the library. That's a building that's owned and controlled by the Village Improvement Association. So to accurately capture all the work that DPW does, it was recommended that Village Improvement Association be added alongside Board of Education.
Anything to add by the City Council? Mr. Chair? Oh, did you? Councilman Quigley, aye.
Yeah, so I mean, in that moment in time when we went through that, it made sense. I think depending on whether they're a department or maybe not a department will depend on, I think, my thinking as to whether that verbiage should be changed or not.
And that's a larger discussion that we held for the moment to get through the rest of it. So why don't we hold 39 and we'll lump that into the rest of the VIA discussion.
I have a question and a thought about it as well, because the way that it's written, I guess when I think about the city and when I was on the city council, I always wondered why we couldn't consolidate services. Like, why couldn't our public works department help the Board of Ed, and why couldn't it just, or why wouldn't the public works help the West Haven Public Library? Like, why is it separate? If it worked together, it'd be more, in my mind, more streamlined. And the way that it's written as if you would never be able to do that in the future. I'm sorry, Councilman Rivera, what? I just think that the way it's written, it kind of makes it in stone that you'll never be able to bring it together and have a one public works.
I'm just going to make a quick comment. We've talked a lot about shared services. Or a comment?
Go ahead, Councilman Rivera.
I'll just restate what I stated. We've talked a lot about shared services and down the road leveraging like functions for the city, whether it's the Board of Ed, whether it's the library, whether it's anything. Right? There's economies of scale to be gained there, and savings.
So I don't read this section to preclude. The first sentence says, there shall be a Department of Public Works which shall have supervision and control of the maintenance of all city-owned structures except such structures as are under the control of the Board of Education or the Village Improvement Association. The city of West Haven does not own those buildings, and the Public Works does not have supervision or control authority. I don't think that precludes.
City does own the schools.
But we don't necessarily control them on a day-to-day. That's up to the Board of Education.
Control of the buildings belongs to the Board of Ed, and the VIA owns the library building, and so the DPW has supervision over control and maintenance of all city-owned structures, not those that are under control of Board of Ed, because the Board of Ed statutorily has control. And the VIA, although, as I told you, we have a standalone agreement now, so it's not in the charter. It's a separate operative agreement that the VIA and the city engage in. So I agree with Councilman Rivera that economies of scale are applicable and helpful here. This doesn't preclude that from happening. In fact, it is happening with regard to the library. I just meant to suggest that the language isn't in here because this is specifically dealt with outside of the charter in an agreement that could be revised, amended, extended, updated, whatever.
I was under the impression, so wouldn't it have to be revised again? Because from what the questions were when we were at the CRC, is that all the ordinances, like once the charter is passed, everything has to be fixed. So everything that was agreed upon beforehand would have to then be agreed upon again. Like every ordinance is invalid, everything.
No, that doesn't invalidate every single ordinance.
Well, only if there's
only those that are no longer in compliance with a new charter or the new portions of a charter.
So,
Councilwoman Callahan?
I kind of agree with everybody here. My question, and just out of the box, is it maybe written like this, or is it the way it is because of budget purposes? Because different departments absorb the cost of different things under the umbrella of all of this? Does that have anything to do with it?
No, the reason it's in here is because this section talks about what the specific authority and responsibility for the Department of Public Works is. It's carving out the Board of Education because those buildings are operated and controlled by the Board of Education. Because the library structures are not owned by the city, they're owned by the VIA. The city council thought that it would be appropriate to also include that as an exclusion, that they're not required under, it falls outside of their scope under the charter. That doesn't mean that there can't be a cooperative agreement. In point of fact, as Attorney Cassini mentioned, the city council encouraged the mayor's office and the public works to do that at the last budget, which they did for snow plowing and landscaping. So our hope is that those relationships will just grow. But this is just clarifying that the Department of Public Works does not have direct authority over those buildings because they're not ours.
Correct. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure thing. Mr. Chair, I think it's over to you.
Any discussion from CRC? Questions?
I think that this should be tabled because the VIA is going to be a much larger discussion. So whatever's decided elsewhere may impact this. So maybe we should just keep this one open.
Hearing none, we agree to keep it open.
Number 40, page 51, footnote 236. Attorney Cassini, since you're doing such a great job.
Recommendation was to have the Water Pollution Control Administrator as a separate department head delineated alongside I'll say her because it is a her now, colleagues. She has the same experience, education, and pay structure as the Commissioner of Public Works. And so it didn't make sense in the past charter that department rolls up to and underneath the city engineer. That isn't actually functionally how it operates anymore. So that didn't make sense. If it was to be under anything, it made sense to be under DPW. But in reviewing it more deeply, it doesn't make sense to have that under anything. That is a standalone department with a standalone department head. And so that's why you see it sandwiched between Commissioner of Public Works and City Engineer.
Discussion from the City Council? Mr. Chair?
Any discussion from CRC? Hearing none, we have no issue.
41. Council, I think that this one's mislabeled. I think this is actually section 7C now. So that would be on page 52.
If I may.
Please.
This is a combination of two sections. We currently have a section in the charter regarding health officers, and then the health director. It's actually called Director of Public Health, and we've changed it to Health Director. The council's recommending change it to Health Director. And what we found was the definition of qualifications that referenced the general statutes was under the health officers section and not the health directors section. And then we found further that we really don't have any health officers in West Haven, so we decided that there should only be a section dealing with health director. The ability to hire a health officer is not mandated by the charter. You don't have to have a required charter provision in order to budget for those provisions, and therefore we combined the two, and we just made the reference to the health director.
Anything from the City Council? Mr. Chair?
Any discussion from CRC? Hearing none, we have no issue.
Thank you. Number 42. Page 50. 54.
You don't even need to find, I can explain it easily. The requirement for a police chief to establish residency was 6 months. The requirement for a fire chief to establish residency was 12 months. This moves the police chief to 12 months to keep it in line with the fire chief.
Anything from the City Council? Mr. Chair?
Discussion from CRC? Hearing none, no issue.
Number 43, which is on page 55. I think this is just pretty self-explanatory. Just clarifies that the fire marshal is appointed by the Board of Fire Commissioners for the Allentown. Discussion from City Council? Mr. Chair?
Any questions from CRC? Hearing none, we have no issue.
Thank you. Number 44. Page 56.
Grants and CDA. Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, because it's removed. You know, Councilman McMillan, Yeah. Attorney Medic, maybe you might be able to clarify this since the uh, the clean version doesn't have the stricken language. So you can explain that.
That's why we hand out both versions. So in section 9B, used to be 8, is the director of planning and zoning, and the second sentence of the provisions reads: the director will be responsible for the efficiency of the following departments: planning and zoning, and inland wetlands. We have deleted between those two the Office of Grants and Community Development Administration. So right now, in the clean copy, it reads: the planning and zoning, building and inland wetlands departments, deletes Office of Grants and Community Development Administration.
Because functionally, those departments have been moved outside of the purview of the director of planning and zoning. I think structurally, that's what the administration has done. Discussion from City Council. Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion from CRC? Hearing none, we have no issue.
I think.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead. Give you time.
This is a federal program, correct? And their funding comes from the federal government?
Correct.
Are there certain statutes or rules that we have to follow?
Nothing changes. Everything still exists. We're just not. At one time, years ago, they put everything under the planning commissioner, and they called it one-stop shopping. So all we're doing is taking it out of the planning commissioner's roles and responsibilities. Nothing else changes as far as community development, correct?
Okay.
The charter does not have sovereign oversight over the federal government and what the federal government asks us to do and tells us what to do. We're not a sovereign.
Yeah, we're just reorganizing where this goes in the charter. It doesn't go under the planning and development anymore. Any questions? No. Hearing none, no issue.
Thank you. Okay, I think that takes care of what I'll refer to as the easier items. Time is 7:43. Let's take a break. We'll reconvene at 8 o'clock. All right, the time is 8:03, and we are back on the record. We will ease back in with number 14. Ease back in. Councilman McMillan? Oh. Councilman Donovan will be on it by now. I'm going to call him. I'm going to text him.
Chapter 4, Section 3.
Item 14 is clarifying the role of the city council with respect to the approval of contracts. That's on page 21. It's a section that specifically says approval of contracts. There we go. Give everybody an opportunity to read it. Chair Madnick, if you don't mind, would you just clarify? I think that all this does is just clarify what the role of the city council is with respect to the approval of contracts, unless it's the role changes by ordinance.
I second that motion.
Excellent. Any discussion from the city council? Mr. Chair?
Any discussion from CRC?
What's the difference between what happens now?
Chair Menning, I don't think there is a practical difference. I think that it just clarifies the language.
This is new language, but it clarifies the practice. And the one thing we had in the language we provided them was that they approved litigation settlement, and that's not what they do at the present time. Under this provision, if they choose to, they can adopt an ordinance or create a practice where they do, but right now they did not want to mandate that in the charter. But this is new language that we had presented to the council.
So I believe my recollection is that part of the definitions that were recommended from the CRC was the definition of a contract, which was a very enlarged definition. And some of those types of documents the city council presently does not approve or act on. So what this section does is state that basically that definition notwithstanding, the authority of the city council will be dictated by the ordinances, or the practice of the city council will be handled by the ordinances.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from CRC? Hearing none, we have no issue.
15 and 16?
15 and 16.
Do you want me to explain them?
Yes, and then I want to see Councilman Quagliani do backflips for this.
5A and 5C. Many charters have a reading requirement, and you probably do this yourselves to some documents. In fact, I heard the call the meeting read into the record tonight, and a reading requirement does not literally mean that you have to read the document. And so this section is designed to clarify that so that you don't have to take up an hour of your meetings reading documents. There's enough time to be spent on the substantive arguments that you want to have, or if you want to get home from Monday Night Football during football season, you can actually have a more efficient meeting during that period of time. But and so this simply clarifies that reading is not a literal reading. It means a publication. It's noticed on your agenda. The item is there, and it's considered a reading. And very often you don't act on something on the first reading. You can only act on it on the second reading, which would be a subsequent meeting. And again, you don't have to read it again. It just has to appear on the agenda. The second item in 5C is related because it probably caused confusion, according, and the chair is absolutely right when he talked about this, is you currently have a provision that actually specifies double-spaced 8.5 by 11 pages for the presentation of materials, which would imply that you have to do it in this way. Therefore, because you have to read it, it's got to be double-spaced so you can actually read the thing. What we've done there is, with the technology that we live in, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. When I was on the Board of Alders in New Haven in the 80s, we had mail. Remember mail, the U.S. Postal Service? And my mailbox were packed with letters. I imagine that members of the council today are packed with emails, incessant emails that you get on the record. You don't need to mandate in the charter 8.5 by 11 double-spaced documents. So what we've said here is that for the purposes of the enactment of ordinances, a proposed ordinance shall be presented in writing and in such form as shall comply with such rules or procedures as may be adopted by the city council. We don't need to overly prescribe something that even Ben Franklin would have rejected.
Councilman Quagliani.
I'm going to miss this if this passes, but so I do have a procedural question as we're on this section. So there's a first reading, and then a public hearing, and then a second reading. So what happens if in the public hearing the public comes up and has a suggestion that we want to incorporate into the ordinance? Do we have to start all over again, or could we amend the ordinance and just have the second reading?
Yeah, exactly what you just said. That's exactly what the purpose of a public hearing is. A public hearing, if you had public hearings that served as resets for every piece of legislation that had to go to public hearing, you never get anything done. And so the idea of the first reading is that everybody in the public knows the council is going to be meeting on this ordinance on this date. You have a meeting. And the best case scenario, and we had this at the Charter Commission, the qualification provision that I left out of the charter, we actually had really good testimony on the qualification proposal. We didn't have to redo and republish the charter and put it back up for another public hearing. We simply would have approved the qualification provision, put it in there, moved it on to you. Likewise with legislation. So you would not need to have a second public hearing.
Thank you, Attorney.
My only comment is Councilman Quagliani has had some very long ordinances to read. I had my fair share last year and the year before, and my only point of annoyance is, where were you a couple of years ago? Any other discussion from the City Council? Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion from CRC or any questions? Hearing none, we have no issue.
Thank heavens. So that's 15 and 16. Okay. Council, I'm sort of going to rely on you from this point forward of what might make sense to take up next, because some recommendations build upon others, so I want to make sure we do it in the most logical way.
Let's talk about terms for elected positions for two reasons. One, that may actually not be as lengthy a discussion as we thought. Two, as I laid out in our break, if we realize quickly that that's not going to be something that the two bodies want to spend time on to see if there's commonality, then it negates a larger portion of the conversation with regard to how to set elections going forward. And three, we have just received from counsel for VIA in the library additional documentation with information. It's nearly impossible to read on a phone. So after we finish that, I'm going to ask for a brief timeout, ask Attorney Mednick to send me what he received so I can print it and allow us to review it quickly. It may even be something that we can share with the group.
Or alternatively, it's already 8:12, so depending on how long this conversation is, we may just break for the evening, and we can give you tomorrow to do that.
That could be as well.
Okay, so let's touch base there. So the next item is, are we on item 3?
Recommendation number 3, Chapter 2, Section 2C1, recommendations, 4-year term for mayor. Town and City Clerk, City Council, Board of Assessment Appeals. I think 3 leads sequentially into 4, obviously. Numerically it does, but also as far as our discussion purposes. And then skipping 5, we would also include then 6. You can, if you'd like to, talk about the succession plan as well after that, which is 7 and 8.
Okay, that was a lot. Also, Councilman McMillan, if your mic is not on, then it doesn't count. Just saying. Okay, so number 3, that's on page 9. So this would be under Chapter 2, Section 2C1, footnote 47 and 48 and 49 and 50. Basically, it consolidates the elected positions of mayor, town and city clerk, city council, and board of assessment appeals to 4-year terms, all running concurrently. Discussion from the city council. Councilman Callahan.
Just refresh my memory because I was away last week too. Did we vote on this and we voted for the 4-year?
This was a vote to recommend to the CRC to consolidate them all to run concurrently on 4-year terms.
Okay, and then after what Attorney Cassini said, that if we do vote, or it's voted and we go forward, then we have to go open it back up to go farther on.
So the Charter Review Commission is not going to, maybe they will, but they're not obligated to decide this tonight. This is an opportunity to ask for clarity or reasoning or justification if that's what they want. If they have appetite to move forward and they're not abhorrent to the idea, or the idea is not abhorrent to them, then it makes sense to talk about structurally how it should take place. But it's not just city council. It's mayoral, city council, town, city clerk, and board of assessment appeals, which has downstream effect to board of ed elections. So that's why the terms of board of ed are not being brought up, but they will be impacted, at least very briefly, as we set elections going forward.
Correct. So that's what I was in reference to. So if we stick with the 4-year for everyone, then we have to just go down streamline and revisit because we're switching.
Yes. So if the members of the CRC have questions about the terms, then they can ask those now, and they can tell you that they feel great about it, and then they can then further ask you about how you arrived at the recommendation that things be consolidated and aligned, and then they could further ask you about alignment and consolidation. Why did we pick this year versus the other years? And how did we determine that Board of Ed seats 3, 4, and 5 need to be 2-year terms for the first election? Things like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other discussion from the city council. Mr. Chairman?
I think Attorney Mednick has comments.
Yeah, I was going to say that the sections run together because the council made a decision to have one election cycle for all municipal elections, and that's why we have to alter the timing of the election for the Board of Ed. So the full alignment won't take place until 2031 because there's going to be a 2-year term to transition the Board of Ed into the same cycle as the mayor, council, clerk, and Board of Assessment Appeals. So that the way the election process will work is there will be no by-election. You're going to have municipal election every 4 years. The alternate election year will be an empty year. So all these elections will be going on around the region, and you will not have an election during that particular year. And so that's the way they've set it up. You have the ability to take a look at that and decide whether that is the cycle you want, or whether you want to do another cycle or alter the terms or whatever. So it's that's the rationale, though, is everything is on one cycle.
Before I open it up to CRC, would you be able to give me 2 or 3 major reasons why the council feels 4 years is in the city's best interest?
Sure. One was a financial consideration of whether or not it made sense to have biennial elections for what we typically call as the under ticket, whether or not that that made sense. Also continuity, so that way the concern was that if the mayor's 4 years and 2 years in, the possibility of having a city council that does not have the history of what the mayor's trying to accomplish and moving in the same direction, whether or not that would be disruptive to the progression of the work that's being done in the city. Similar to the rationale for having a 4-year term for the mayor, is by the first year, the mayor, especially a new mayor, is just getting her or his feet wet, trying to get acclimated with what the job is. Same idea happens with some of the new city council members. And what was the other one you asked for?
Oh, I just said 2 or 3, whatever.
Yeah, it's really just to maintain.
Those are the main reasons.
It's to attempt to maintain some continuity. We had batted this around quite a bit because there's pros and cons to the conversation on both sides. There's something to be said for checks and balances where the city council could still be 4 years, but on alternating years, so a midterm election, there's something to be said for continuing on with 2 years to maintain those checks and balances. There's something to be said to have them run concurrent. That way, again, there's that continuity. So, I mean, there was conflict even during our own discussion of what made sense, but this is what the majority ended up recommending.
Councilwoman Tucker has a question or comment.
The conversation that I think I brought to the floor was really around consolidating power and, just having a situation where you have a mayor who has a 4-year term, the city council who has a 2-year term. And right now we're in a great place, right? Most everybody's happy with the way things are going right now. But if you think down the road and we don't have this same environment, same situation, perhaps even the same party, what would that look like or feel like? And if you are the city council and you have a mayor who maybe they don't like the way that you voted on some of the things that they wanted, and so therefore now it's 2 years later, it's time for you, the city council person, to run again, and I'm not going to support you. There's that kind of potential, which I defined it as like a power gradient. There's the ability for that person in that position of power to have influence over how the council behaves if they are subject to success or failure based on the support of that leader. So I looked at it from that vantage point, and I thought, not just the fact that you're just learning after 2 years, sitting in a council seat. There's so much to learn just about procedure and how things are done. And then the history and all the things. But once you've kind of gotten that, now it's time to get out there and start, campaigning again. And I just think that for all the reasons that the mayor would want to turn to a 4-year term, makes sense for the council to do so. And then, of course, the financial considerations. So that was my rationale. And I'll stop there.
Thank you. CRC discussion. Member Itarola.
You have to go to a mic.
You got to go, Steve. You're gonna have to go to a mic.
I agree a lot with Councilwoman Tucker. I was all for a 4-year term for the council members as well, and I guess I was just curious to know what the council discussed and how they felt in the majority of, because I couldn't agree with her more. And if a mayor gets disrupted, if they're doing a good job and the mayor does have the power, or the council has the power to remove council members they don't like or that are doing wrongdoing, or I don't understand why, our discussion went towards who really wants to commit to a 4-year term. Well, you shouldn't run if you don't want it, if you're not committed to a 4-year term. And Dawn reached out to me and said there's a lot to learn in her first term. Maybe the first year you're not really, knowing everything that needs to go on and what your responsibilities are. So I know this is probably already done and etched in stone, but I think the 4-year term for the council members would serve the mayor better, and I think you'd get more qualified people that wanted to do the job. You know, our discussion was, well, people don't want to do it for 4 years. Then don't run. You know, 2 years, I don't feel like doing this anymore. You were never a serious candidate, in my opinion, in the first place. But that's just how I'm curious to know what the council thinks of that and what they discussed when we weren't around
Can I
to hear
respond to
them.
that?
Thank you. Yes, Chairman
Thank
Margot.
you. I couldn't agree more with that because that was brought up as well as some folks had said, 4 years is a big commitment, especially when it's not your full-time job. Most of us still have a full-time job. So that was definitely brought up, and that was exactly my position, is that if you think that it's too much and that you it's not something that you can handle, then simply don't run. And I frankly don't want somebody who can't commit to the job and do it. The type of person that I am is I commit 100% to whatever I decide to do. If I can't do that, then I'm not going to take on the role, take on that responsibility. I also think that, as we're looking at the charter, I think I described it that this is our Constitution. It's a bit of a living, breathing document. I think that not only are we required, but it would be irresponsible for us to look at it in a vacuum and not think about the practical impact of what the decisions are. And I think, we're already doing that with the mayoral 4-year term adjustment. The rationale and the practical side effect of that is the mayor has 2 short years, especially if it's a brand new mayor, needs to figure out the ins and outs of municipal government, how City Hall works, who the players are, how things happen. They can't even get their agenda really started without having to then divert at least some of their attention, after hours and whatnot, to re-election. So that makes practical sense. The same idea really applies to the city council as well, and the interplay between the two. So I think that we do have to look at the practical effect of whatever decisions the CRC and the city council makes. How is that going to affect tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And I think that this is one of the things that personally I think it's necessary to keep everybody aligned in sync. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Are we going to address the misinformation that Steve said? Attorney, he said some things that you were saying that's not true. Like the city council can't get rid of other city council members. I need you to address respectfully. There's some things that need to be clarified.
We have no removal provision in this charter. We actually, as you may recall, commissioners, that removal, there's no express grant of authority for removal. If we had a longer period of time, I'd probably put a panel discussion of lawyers who I have regard for to say why I think a removal provision might pass muster under the law, but we just don't have time to do any quixotic moves with regard to that type of issue at this moment. We did consider, I had proposed to the council on the issue of disability to have a determination regarding a permanent disability or illness that would allow for a determination that the mayor is no longer qualified to serve as mayor, and the council did not move in that direction because, again, it was a removal provision, and I could not sit before you and say with absolute certainty that provision would prevail. And so we do not have a provision. We do, as I think the Corporation Council raised earlier, a provision regarding removal of appointed board and commission members. That is permissible. We have nothing in the charter that allows for removal of elected officials. I think that's too bad. I think that the legislature should think about allowing that explicitly, but right now we don't have that authority.
Any other discussion from CRC? Questions, comments? Sure.
Thank you. If it helps with the CRC's decision, although the city council has not specifically informally talked about what the questions on the ballots are going to look like, I can tell you that my discussions with several council members that we are likely leaning towards separating questions on 4 years for the mayor, 4 years for other positions, because we don't want to lock the voters in on saying, perhaps, they agree with the mayor. They don't agree with the city clerk for some reason. They don't agree with the city council for some reason. So we don't want a failure because of the fact that they may not like one part of that provision. And we think that this is so important that it should be separated out. So even though I can't 100% commit to that, I do believe that the council is going to lean that way.
So I have a question. How many, because I watched I have not seen anyone come before this council, your constituents, to say that they're in agreement with a 4-year term. So did you guys get letters? Did you get emails? Did you get information from your constituents? Because everything that people have spoken to me, that they don't want a 4-year term for the city council.
Mr. Chairman Vargo, I think you have a member who's absent tonight who launched a very informal, unscientific, but questionnaire, I'll say, to solicit those opinions. And she did put into your record previous meetings what the results of that were. I don't know if it's still up. And I don't remember the exact specific numbers, but maybe you recall more specifically.
It was Councilwoman Garthwaite. I don't remember the exact numbers, but she did say that for those that participated, and it's a relatively small sampling, just to be accurate. However, those that did vote were in favor. I've spoken. Did I get letters and emails? No, I did not.
Did you get anyone to come to your city? I didn't see anyone at your
Public hearing.
public input inquiries, except for the one person that said they weren't in favor of anyone having it.
Well, since you watched that, then you're accurate. What you saw was accurate. No one came.
So when we say that Melly did hers, there was another one on Facebook where there were 65 people that were in favor of no one having 4-year terms.
And the question is going not to be decided on Facebook. It'll be decided at the ballot.
So are we gonna have a back and forth? Because
No.
You didn't need to say that to me. I'm asking legitimate questions. You're saying that Melly had an unsolicited thing, and I said there was another one too. So if we're saying it's not going to be decided on Facebook, then it's not going to be decided on what Councilwoman Garthwaite did either.
Agreed.
But you're bringing that up. I'm asking, did anyone of the council receive any input from their constituents? The answer doesn't come just from you. It comes from the other members as well. No? Or is it not an open forum anymore?
No, it's absolutely an open forum,
Okay.
Ms. Hosky.
Did anyone else receive anything from their constituents?
So I can respond
Please do.
As far as some of the things we discussed, and unfortunately, Councilman Donovan's not here.
Mm-hmm.
But I seeked this question from many people, and the results from Melly's survey was about 3-1 in favor of a 4-year term. I don't know if I've got a single person that said moving the mayor to 4-year versus a 2-year was a great idea. Leaving the council at 2-year and her at 4-year, they said it should match up, and they see no reason why it shouldn't be 4 years. In the people that I talked to, right, and these are very informal conversations, just reaching out, hey, what do you think about this, right? But I did look at the results of the survey, and it was probably 100, 150 people. Small sampling, but most surveys are. As a new council member, I will tell you, prior to getting elected, I would say 2 years, and I'd be pretty adamant about it. And sitting in this role, I think anything 2 years is just not enough time. And 4 years, I think, is enough to get your feet wet, enough to understand the different processes and procedures, and understand how city government works, right? And now I'm coming in with zero political experience. World of commercial experience, but very little political experience. I probably, knowing what I know now, I would never have done it for 2 years and only done it for 4 years. Again, one man's opinion.
Councilwoman Tucker had her hand up before.
I almost forgot what I was going to say. I think I did forget what I was going to say.
Okay.
Come back to me.
We can go to Councilwoman Callahan.
Thank you. It happens. We went back and forth, and I will be the brave soldier and say I was in favor of the two. I know that I am the underdog, and that's fair in all of the discussions. I will say, though, just being in my, it's my second term, I see both sides. I agree with everybody here. Councilwoman Tucker brings so much experience because she's been doing this for a long time. And I looked at people like that for guidance. I do agree with Councilman Rivera that, 4 years. And I also agree with Mr. Idarola that if you don't want to do the 4 years, don't run. My flip side is I agree with all of that. I'm the underdog, but I feel like maybe other people feel 4 years is too long. That's just my thoughts and my personal thoughts that, like you asked, I'm entitled to. Did I reach out to anyone? I did not, because I didn't think about it. I really didn't think about asking my constituents, because actually the people that actually show up in the district to vote, I wish were more. Even at the public hearing when there was one person there. It's very sad. All of us put it out on social media. So I don't want to sit here and go round and round. I respect my peers and what they voted on when I was away, and I understand it, and I'm all for it. I do see both sides. I really, really do. It's like a tug of war. I feel as, someone in the city, and you go to run, I feel 2 years is hard and good, but you run hard, you learn a lot. If you want to run again, you do just get your feet wet in the first 2 years. I do feel on the other side, 4 years is a big commitment. But I also see the financial, acclimates of it, of not to have to run. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, and especially, I think the mayor should stay 4, and I would go with the 2 on the council, but that's just me personally. But to answer the question that you asked, I didn't put it out there. But anyway, I do see both sides, but, there's pros and cons, like you said, to both. So
Thank you. Councilwoman Tucker.
I have had some conversations with constituents who also agree with the 4-year term. I think they see the work that we do. I think they know the, time that we put in and all of that, and the time spent campaigning and, doing all that's necessary to be elected. So I've talked to people who were in agreement. But the thought that I had before was that I wanted to know what your thoughts were. I wanted to hear from you guys and what your conversation was like and where you land on this. Is this something that, maybe you had as much banter about as we did? Because we had a lot of discussion back and forth about this, the pros, the cons. And I would just love to hear what you think. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, go ahead, Councilman Tagliatella.
I'm actually going to piggyback off Peter. Being the second newbie in this committee, I really had no idea what to expect and zero experience in politics. I really never wanted to get involved in politics. I was on the fence and then started leaning towards 2 years, but listening to everyone and coming to the meetings and realizing what exactly is involved in this, there is a lot to learn. And I think 2 years really isn't enough time. Just maybe at the beginning where you're just getting ready to say, okay, maybe I'm learning a little bit, your term's up. So all that for, I don't mean to say all that for nothing, but just about when you're ready to say, yeah, I think I got it. I got a little bit of it. You're done. And then you have to campaign again and go through. And then you I don't know, you're starting over, so to speak. So I really agree. And like I said, I'm surprised at myself because I was leaning towards the 2 years. But I think 4 years is a good amount of time. And I feel I can do good being in for 4 years instead of 2. So like I said, I'll have more experience. And with a great council, I'm learning so much at every meeting. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Member Mancini.
So I'm going to say this decision goes beyond the opinions of anyone in this room. And if it's going to be put as a separate question come November, then the voters will decide. If we don't give them that option, we don't know.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yeah,
or Member Gilbert?
Different view of what I'm talking about with the Board of
Former.
Education being on the same line as all the other elected officials. There's a lot more issues that are pressing nowadays in education than ever before because it's just everything's just changing on a daily basis. And I think the Board of Education should have their own election to decide what they want to do. But I don't want to put the education elections on the same page as the council and the mayor.
Member Idarola? I'll get to you, Roberta. Member Idarola, you had a... Okay, Member Garlock?
I'm sorry, just so that member Commissioner Idarola doesn't have to give. Can you just repeat on the record what he said?
He agreed with Member Mancini.
Thank you.
Member Garlick? That's right.
I also agree with Mr. Mancini, but I believe in a 2-year term for council members. I think Board of Education should stay because they're staggered. New people coming in, some people decide to stay. Kathy has been on for a while. She is able and has the ability to teach newcomers, Pete, Nancy, and then that gives somebody an idea if they really want to stay with it. I mean, neither one of you were involved in politics. I'm not sure if you were, Peter, so I can't speak for you. But Nancy stated it here. But she can decide if she does not want to be in it. This is Chairman Vargo's second term, and now he's the chair. But I think we should leave it to the residents of West Haven. There's more accountability for the people in Town Hall.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from CRC? Yes. Vice Chair Perry.
I will be brief. I just want to say it's really interesting to be a part of this and to hear the different perspectives, because it actually does help to have conversation and discussion, because it helps you shape your perspective as well. And when we first started having this conversation as part of the CRC, I was on the fence of 2-year terms, because I felt like if not, then you have this body who's with the mayor for 4 years, so it's almost like everybody's in the same position of power. However, after talking to everyone and hearing the different perspectives, I do feel, as you were just saying, that you can't get much done in 2 years. I mean, that's the whole rationale behind us wanting the mayor to have a 4-year term, right? And then something that hasn't been brought up, but I do see this angle of it as well, is voter fatigue. So if we're having elections every 2 years and asking people to come out and make a decision about this, we're seeing that the voters are not coming out. So if we know that this is only happening every 4 years, I think people are more apt to be engaged and involved. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. From my standpoint, I've been going back and forth on this in my mind. I haven't come to a decision yet, but I certainly see both sides of the argument. I will say this, that this is probably one of the better councils I've seen over the years, and certainly more engaging and thoughtful in their deliberations. And I applaud you for that, as I think we have a great CRC commission too. So we will have our deliberations on July 1st and see if we can't come to some sort of conclusion. Yes, Member Hosky.
So I just want to make it clear. My decision will be different if you stay on the record that you will have a separate question. Because you said, well, we've thrown around separating it and there being 2 questions, where the city council will be separate from the mayor, but we haven't decided. So it's still up in the air. So we might do that, is what you said. But if you're going to do it, like if you're absolutely going to do it and you put it in the record that it's going to be done, that you're going to let the voters decide, you're not going to stick it with, anyone else. It's like, do you want the city council to have a 2-year term and the voters can decide yes or no? Then I'll be in favor for it, because then you're letting the voters decide. Because respectfully, I can continue? Okay. Because respectfully, where I come from, and when I used to be on the city council, we used to have to recuse ourselves. We couldn't vote on something that would impact us. If your husband was on the police department, you didn't vote on anything to do with the police department. And I just think that you deciding to put that with the mayor and doing that, it just doesn't look the way it should look. You should recuse yourself from it. So separating it, saying you're going to do it 100, like there's no backing out of it, then my decision would be different, and I would support it as long as it's going to the people and they get to decide.
May I come in on that?
Yes.
So I can't with absolute certainty say that, only because we have not reached that point of the process. So I am not willing to speak for the entire city council without having a vote. However, what I am willing to do is to take an informal, non-binding straw poll of the folks that are here to see where their heads are at. And I think that I would find it very surprising if someone says tonight that when the question does come before us in July or August for the ballot questions, that they're going to vote one way, and then they change their mind. I think that I would be very disheartened if somebody were to change their mind without a really good reason. So if that would satisfy Commissioner Hosky, I am absolutely happy to take a straw poll for. Well, you were. Okay, then I'll go around the room. Sure.
If you don't mind, before you
Absolutely
take the
not.
straw poll. So I was the outlier. So when it came time for the vote, I voted no for a 4-year term. At the end of the day, it's not. I mean, everybody's reasons for whether they support it or don't support it are definitely valid because it's their reasons, right? And they think it's the best way that they could govern. It's the best way that they could govern for their district. So at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong answer here. So my concern, and really it is, it's what do the taxpayers want, right? What do the voters want? So I would agree that it should be up for the voters to decide. I was a no because I felt that the mayor's position was very different than the city council's position. The mayor is a full-time position. The mayor has to put up a staff, bring in qualified people, set an agenda, and try to make some benchmarks towards achieving that agenda. Very difficult to do that on a 2-year term. You're here for 1 year, you're learning the ropes, and then you're up for re-election. The city council, I kept differently because we're really not doing any of those. We're acting on the legislation that the mayor brings us, right? We don't have to. We're not full time, although the last couple of months feels like full time. We're not putting a staff together, and I really felt that not this council. Listen, I've been on a lot of councils, and this is a good council. I'm not. Who said it before? It's not about the president. It's about the future. I don't want people to come sit here and feel like they're insulated because now they don't have to be responsive to their constituents because now they have a 4-year term as opposed to a 2-year term. And if they don't like what the mayor's doing, they don't have any really recourse until that 4-year term is up. They would have a recourse for that council person. If the mayor and the council's doing a good job, in 2 years I'm reelecting you. And if they're not, then 2 years I'm not reelecting you. So. But again, at the end of the day, I do believe that it belongs on the ballot. The only thing that I'm concerned about is the 2029 election. The way that everything is set up right now, the only people that will run on a 2029 election are 4 Board of Ed candidates in order to align them to a 2-year term to 2031. So it's not optimal. They'd be out there on their own, 4 Board of Ed candidates standing up a full election. Not thrilled by that, but at the end of the day, I think voter will prevails, and so I agree with you. You don't have to come to me. The straw poll would be that I would support that question, separate question on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the straw poll question is a separate question on the ballot, 4-year terms for the mayor, city council, and the other elected positions separately. Would you be in favor of separating out those questions? Councilwoman Tagliatella? Is a yes. Can you go on the record, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Ronan?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Rivera? No. I am a yes. Councilman Quagliani is a yes. Councilwoman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Callahan?
Yes.
Yes. And Councilman McMillan?
C.
CC is a yes. So the majorities are yes. Mr. Chair, I turn it back to you. Thank you.
Would the CRC like to take a straw poll also? Okay. So the question is, do you support the 4-year term if it's put on the ballot for the voters to decide? Member Mancini.
I do.
Member Tagliatella.
Yes, I do.
Member Gilbert.
Undecided right now.
Member Idarola.
Yes. You said separately, though, right?
Yes. In other words, the voters would decide on the term of 4 years for the council and separately for the mayor. Member Garlock.
Undecided.
Member Hosky.
I'm really sorry, but I need to talk about the Board of Ed. Like, I didn't know what they were getting. Like, I didn't know that. Well, then I'm undecided because I can't ask my question about the Board of Ed.
Okay. I am undecided currently too. So we have 3 undecided, 4 undecided. Oh, I'm sorry. Vice Chair Perry, my fault.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes. So what do we have? 4 yeses and 4 undecided. Yes. 4 yeses and 4 undecided.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Council, I believe that just the temperature of the room, it's still undecided, but I think it is a worthwhile exercise to have a conversation about the trickle-down effect should the city council 4-year term be on the ballot and how it would affect the other pieces. So if we can move on to the to those sections as well, which includes the Board of Ed.
So the way it will work is if the voters approve the revision, if you ultimately, at the end of this process, revise the charter to have a 4-year term, the 4-year term for mayor. I always love Scott Joplin. Thank you very much. Was that Marvin Hamlish? I'm not sure. The mayor, town and city clerk, city council, board of assessment appeals would all have 4-year terms starting in the next election cycle. The Board of Ed, a class of the Board of Ed would run, I think it's 5 members in the next cycle, and then 4 members would run in the 2029 cycle for a 2-year term. So for a short period of time, 4 members of the Board of Ed would have a 2-year term, and then in 2031 and quadrennially thereafter, all candidates for municipal office would run every 4 years as a ticket. So you'd have an entire Board of Education, entire City Council, Board of Assessment Appeals, Town and City Clerk, and the Mayor, starting in 2031. So that's how you have to. That's how you get to that. You need to have that small cycle for the Board of Ed to have a 2-year term election in 2029.
Member Hosky.
So if we don't think that the community will come, what did you call it, voter fatigue? If we're worried about voter fatigue for the council people, who are the most visible people in the city, what's going to happen to the people that are running in 2029? Like, why? Like, do we not have a sense of urgency and care and grace for them? And they're going to be out there. Like, why wouldn't we just wait? Like, why not let the mayor in 2 years run her 4 years, and then the Board of Assessment Appeals and the council, so that there is a slate to run with your people that you want to see elected? Why would we fight for ourselves, for our voters not to have voter fatigue, and let those 4 people experience that and possibly lose their seats? I guess if this is a team and if it's the mayor's people that we want in office, why are we not building that ship to sail for everybody?
The charter. The charter process is really not about immediate election cycles. The charter process is about trying to find a way to get to where you want to go, and the way to deal with the consolidated election will be this inconvenient cycle where 4 people are running on their own. In some ways, it may be more empowering when it comes right down to it. If you have 4 people who are running for the Board of Ed, they're able to bring attention to the issues that they care about. Those 4 members will have an opportunity to run in that cycle, but it's just the luck of the draw because there's a decision to consolidate and have a 4-year cycle that's a consolidated 4-year cycle. So it's unavoidable, and there's no way to do it. To my knowledge, I'll have to think about the mathematical possibilities. I don't think there's any other way to get there.
You could have the mayor start in that 4 years, the next election, and have everyone else start on that election
Oh,
year 4 years.
yeah, you could have the council run for a 2-year term until 2031, and then 2031 everybody's consolidated.
problem solver.
So you'd have the city council run or the board of assessment appeals run with them, but no mayor. It would just be the legislative body. So you could do that if you'd like to do that. That's another option.
Councilman Rivera, comment?
I was just going to say, it's just for one election, though, that they're going to be running on their own.
It's only the one election.
Right. 3031, everybody runs together.
Correct.
And there'll be no municipal election in 33 and 37.
That's right. It'll be 31, 35, 39. But you could, to the commissioner's point, delay the commencement for everybody else, so that these 4 people are not left on their own. But that's a political judgment you have to make.
Yes, go ahead, Chairman Vargo.
Thank you. Chairman Mendig, I think mathematically it would still create an off-cycle election for the mayor, because if the mayor runs for a 4-year term in 27, that ends in 31. If the city council's, assuming that 4 years passes, assuming that that doesn't take effect until 29, so that way the city council runs with those Board of Ed candidates, that then goes to 33. There's still no alignment.
No. You would have the council run for a 2-year term in 2029. So the council would not get the 4-year term until 2031. So under the Commissioner Hosky's proposal, it's very doable. The mayor would run in 2027 for a 4-year term till 2031. Council for a 2-year term, run again for a 2-year term in 2029, then 2031 convert to the 4-year term.
But the Board of Ed candidates that are already running in 2029 are still going to be on a 4-year term.
They'll be run for a 2-year term. We would create it. They're finishing their term. We'd have them run for a 2-year term. They would then get their 4-year term in 2031.
I did not understand the question posed in that way, that we're still adjusting the term for the...
We're adjusting the term so that everybody catches up. I think what Commissioner Hosky was saying is she doesn't want these 4 lonely people running on their own, and that would be the way to keep it moving, so the council does not get a 4-year term until 2031 under her proposal.
And I'm saying this for like bipartisanly. Like, I think in my mind, when I think about the math, I think that we are allowing one party to have a stronghold and be able to really just control it all. I think this way it really leaves it kind of even. And if the mayor's not there pulling the votes, it really makes it the responsibility of the people running to get elected, which is probably going to be tough. But with everything in the city historically being very one-sided, I think it opens the gate for more, and I know where my party line is, but I'm more about, for the people. And
it would only be for that one cycle. You're absolutely right. For that one cycle, the theory in having, and I'm not advocating the position, everybody knows the position I've recommended in the past. The reason you go for the alternate year cycle between the legislative and executive is to have a check on the executive. It's also a check on the legislative. In one of my communities where we have a 4-2 cycle, it was set up arguably so that the council could serve as a kind of a dam in the event people are not happy with the mayor. You could just replace the council, and the mayor does not have a friendly council for the next 2 years because the voters have made that determination, especially we don't have removal provisions and you're stuck with the mayor for the 4-year term. And so you lose that with the 4-year cycle, but you do get it for the one term in 2029 where people would be running without the top of the ticket that would pull in weaker candidates.
Thank you. Do we have any other discussion or comments? So, Attorneys Cassini and Mednick, for our meeting next Wednesday, would you write out options for what we had just discussed?
different ways that subsequent elections can be structured and,
Yes.
and office terms can be structured such that the waterfall finds itself aligned at some point?
Correct.
Yes, we can.
But let's just make a point here, and we will do that, and it's a really critical part. But and what has been really useful about this meeting has been we've made some real reasonable administrative judgments. As I said earlier, the CRC can still make decisions on things that they've gone along with this evening. However, we need to make sure there's alignment. And what we're trying to do tonight is we're trying to find that alignment, and I think we have found it on many, many, many issues. So if there is a difference of opinion on this issue at our next meeting, we definitely need to meet with, and I'm hoping that leadership, the chair will be there and others will be there at the meeting of the commission at some point, or have some kind of correspondence, because we need to come out with consensus, because when we send this back to the council, there's no debate. It's up or down. So it's not putting pressure on anybody, but the pressure is we need to have a dialogue, whether it's in person or there's some correspondence, council serving as intermediaries, working with everybody. We need to make sure there's either consensus or there's not. If there's a disagreement, then the commission's entitled to send in a provision that they believe in, and then we'll try to persuade the council of that, understanding that there's only an up or down vote on it. There's no compromise and there's no amendment. So all the work has to be done here, and not tonight, but in the next couple of meetings that we have. The commission needs to make those decisions mindful of that.
So as of now, the commission has not recommended 4-year terms for the council. And what we were asking for is options if we do decide to do that. Chairman Vargo, I know you're on vacation next week. You were concerned about that. Is there anything or anyone, can we invite the council to our meeting to be there to answer any questions, or should
Absolutely.
we just?
I know that Councilman Quagliani, I believe you said you can make yourself available on July 1st. I know that he can make himself available. I'm absolutely happy that anybody can step in for me not being able to be there.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. So that takes care of discussion on items 3 and items 4. Did we also essentially touch upon item 6, or is that something? No, that's in the event of a mayoral vacancy. So let's go to item 6.
6, 7, and 8 deal with mayoral vacancies. What shall happen? Chapter 2, Section 6.
I have a question, Chris.
Sure.
Chairman Vargo.
Sure.
Are we meeting tomorrow?
Yes.
What are we going to be going over, since it seems like we're covering a lot of everything?
Definitely the library. I want to speak for Chairman Kelly, but I think that the library necessitates a much larger discussion. So I was going to reserve that for tomorrow to see if we can get through the rest of the items tonight. So 6, 7, and 8, Attorney Cassini, could be consolidated into one discussion, do you think?
Yes, I believe so. And if you're looking for things to pick off, 6, 7, and 8 can be packaged together.
Page 12. Yep.
There may be one item after that we can get to that's unrelated to any of the things that you've discussed already tonight. I think I told you we got information from attorneys for the library that is indecipherable at best. And so we can't provide any further information that would glean insight one way or another into that. So that's a good thing to say for tomorrow.
Attorney Cassini, before you start, I do see that Commissioner Gilbert needs to leave. I know that Commissioner Garlock needs to leave. With that, it might make sense to pause here since we're losing two members. What do you think, Chairman?
Yeah. Yes.
Pause
correct.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, we will reconvene tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'll just say we're adjourned. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.